with a whole group of blokes and live in a city for 5 months.
Yeah.
And working every day. Like in 1983, I had 5 days off in 5 months.
Yeah.
In the days, it's like Groundhog Day. You get up in the morning and it's 5:30 and you start training at 6 and, dinner, crew meeting, down the boat, out to sea, back on the dock at 5:30, 6, put the boat to bed, go to Christie's, have a beer, go home, fall into sleep. That's it.
Yeah, Groundhog Day.
And do it day after day after day. And so there's always pressures. There's pressures from family, there's pressures from girlfriends, from wives, from, to take a whole bunch of adult men, because we're not kids, By the time you get the America's Cup, most of the guys are in their late 20s, 30s, because you haven't got the experience to have got into a crew before that. I mean, there were some younger guys, but most of the average age would have been around about that 31, 32.
So now we're 35, 6 years later now.
So you're pulling them out of their careers, very often taking them out away from their families. You're putting them into Newport with all its seductive noises, its lovely girls, the bars,
Yeah, it's even worse now.
You can just imagine the pressures.
Yeah.
And then, you go to, Hammersmith Farm where Jackie and Ken was married, and you go to these amazing parties, and you're the star of the show. You go down to the candy store, and there's a huge queue that goes on forever, and they know you because you're one of the crew guys, and they want you there. So we're very ordinary. If you look at the crew guys on Australia too, like there was some sail makers, there's a surveyor, there's a teacher, there's a guy who just left the army, there's a carpenter. Like, we're just regular guys, and suddenly you're sort of. So you've got to learn how to deal with that and not let it start to break the team up.
You were very much part in this, but amateurs.
Oh, that's Corinthians.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's what we were.
Yeah, you weren't professional sailors you were up against.
Not like, but, God, would I have given up a minute of it?
Yeah.
To be at say, Black Pearl or Christie's or the candy store or everywhere just after you've been out sailing on that glorious bay or waters and racing, you're sitting there having a Mount Gay and tonic and that light you get in Newport. You don't get that light anywhere else.
Yeah.
We're right at the end of the day, and especially in the height of the summer where it's a long twilight and the breeze is crapped out and there's about 5 knots and these amazing famous yachts and schooners coming by and there's jazz music going on. I mean, holy shit!
Yeah,
how good is it?
Well, so many people call it the sailing capital of the world, and you wonder.
Yeah,
it's tough. It's the best place you've sailed.
If you add the whole thing together,
you've got some big history.
Yeah, the whole thing, the place. Oh, hang on, 2 seconds.
Nah, no worries. It's unfair to name somewhere a sailing capital.
But the point about it was that the place, the infrastructure. Let's face it, sailors are traditional people, and we just love being in a place that has a heritage of it all. When you're out there sailing, it can be frustrating at times when there's not as much wind as you'd hope there to be.
Yeah.
It can be quite tidal and quite foggy at times. But if you said to me, where do you want to go tomorrow, and have a regatta?
Yeah.
I'll say Newport. Straight away. Because I just love the whole thing. Here, it's got, people argue that this is one of the best places to run a regatta in the world because we have such consistent winds.
Yeah.
And I just did the Dragon Worlds here. There's a guy from Seattle, San Diego, a guy called Ron Rosenberg, who's one of the top sailing coaches in the world, full professional coach. He just said to me after it was over, he said, if I've ever got to coach someone, take them to put them into a program, bring them here. He said, I bring them here because I know that every day I can go sailing.
Yeah. Newport, you can't. It's inconsistent. Plus, we have seasons.
Yeah.
Winter, spring, summer.
That's right. Well, we here you can sail all year round.
Yeah.
We're Fremantle's, but then you ask the whole world out there. There'll be a lot of people who Fremantle would be on their agenda, but because we're so remote, there's this guy.
Stuart said that yesterday, and I said, but I love it. Yeah. This is very. Again, it feels like Newport because it's a little remote. It's outside. It's off the beaten path a little bit. But it's a great community. And look at all the boats. I've been, in Australia. I was down in Adelaide. You couldn't find seafood on a menu for 2 weeks. And you come up here and every meal is.
We got incredible seafood here.
It is.
As
it's
does
great.
Newport. There's incredible lobsters and. Anyway.
Later this year, I don't know if they've already reached out to you. We're hosting the 12-meter World Champions.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
24 of them. It's the largest ever gathering in the U.S. This July.
The biggest ever was 37.
Where was that?
The 150th anniversary of the America's Cup.
So that's when they took Australia 2 out of the museum.
Yes. And the Americans did it so cool because they had all of their boats that they took over. They took a lot.
Newport has I think, the largest collection of them still.
Right.
I go on Columbia as well as Heritage all the time.
Well, a lot of those boats were restored and brought back to life because of 2001.
Yeah.
Remember, it was a month before 2011.
9/11.
9/11.
Yeah.
And what they did is that because they thought, well, this is such a big deal, that they rigged them all up, masts and everything in them, and they brought out a submersible. And everyone just motored or towed their boats into this submersible and pumped the waters out and steamed across the Atlantic.
Wow.
And I was there literally, because we got there early with Australia 2, and I was sitting on Australia 2 at the Groves and Gutteridge Yard, or called something else now, it used to be called Groves and Gutteridge, and having a drink, and the submersible had arrived and sunk itself out in the Solent there. And all these boats are sitting there. Oh, there goes Valiant. There goes Nefertiti. There goes Columbia. Oh, Intrepid. All these amazing yachts just filing into the marina. 37. Australia 2 came second. They got beaten by Australia 3, which was called Alinghi. They renamed it Alinghi.
Okay.
It's actually South Australia.
There are a tremendous amount of them in Newport, and there's a group. 12-meter charters that rents out several of them. They still race with them. I think they're just the most beautiful boats to be on.
They are.
Are they the best that's ever been raced in America's Cup? Or your favorite? Well, you used 12 meters your entire career.
But I was very much involved in creating the IACC boats.
Yeah.
I was the chairman of that organisation, and so not that I ever got to sail on them much, but the 12s were perfect for what they did. See, people forget that if you go say to 1954, the America's Cup was a pre-war anachronism that people had sort of forgotten about, and it was the New York Yacht Club that said, we need to, now 10 years after the war, we need to revive this. We can't sail in 140-foot waterline boats anymore. What can we get? What can we get that's around? And there was a few old 12 metres from like Vim from 1937 or something, and so they got them going, with that. So the 12s then went right through to our period, but in a way, we'd solved the rule.
Yeah.
So everyone knew that they had to be 44-foot waterline boats. The wing keel had come along. Their time was up, and it was fantastic that we went to another boat. But when you sailed in a lot of wind off here, they were bloody hard. Because you only had 11 crew. You forget how athletic you had to be to sail those boats. I'm 6'5", and You know, I'm only 90 kilo now, but I was 105 kilo then, and I had no fat on me. You know, we were big suckers, you know, and you had to be, because there were only 11 crew with a 23-ton yacht, which is a lead mine, went through the seas rather than over it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're perfect for Newport.
Yeah.
Fucking hard here, I tell you know, they really were.
Yeah.
But I love the athleticism of them. You know, every move on them had to be choreographed because you ran out of people all the time. You know, you couldn't just wing it. You know, you had to know. I remember going around the last mark in the 7th race in 1983. Liberty's coming in from here and we're coming in from here, and we have to do what we call a float drop, which is to jibe and drop the spinnaker at the same time, which is a pretty technical move. And one of the commentators later on, I was watching a video of it, and they said, "Oh wow, imagine being in the 7th race America's Cup having to do a float drop." And I never even occurred to me at the time, because we had sailed so much together and we had every manoeuvre on our boat so choreographed.
Yeah.
Float drop, I go and do this and this and this and this and this, and Ken goes and does this and this and this and this, and we've done it 100 times, and it just happens.
Yeah.
You know? So that was one of the other joys about sailing the America's Cup. You know, you never, even today, I don't think, because they don't sail them as much because they're not allowed to.
Yeah.
I don't think they, although the last few America's Cups there hasn't been a lot of crew work. It's been, you know, almost a one sail, wing sail, and just a physical thing of keeping up the hydro. You know.
Yeah. At that point, when you made that move, is that when you knew you guys were in? No.
No, we see what happened if we were talking about the various America's Cups.
I was about 1.
77, we went there and we thought we had a really good boat. We thought we had a real good chance. And then we beat up all the other guys, and we, you know, and then we came across Courageous, and Courageous was just one of those freak boats. And Ted Turner's a bloody good helmsman, and we weren't good enough. So 80, we went back, and Bondi was down on his money. So he just said, we've got to go back and keep our iron in the fire. You know, we've got to take our old boat. And when we got there, of course, the Brits came with a bendy mast. And then we went and built a bendy mast under Dennis Connor's nose, which is a great story. And we went out there, and if we'd been better, if we'd been a better crew, had more confidence in ourselves, we could have won it in 80. Because Australia with a bendy mast was really good, but we made a couple of bad decisions.
Yeah.
Particularly the last race, where the forecast was for it to blow like hell, and we could sail with the bendy mast straight, put a conventional mainsail on it rather than the big, huge mainsail that the bend allowed you to have because there's no girth measurements. And we went and got beaten up, and the breeze never came in. It was only 12 knots. It was lumpy as shit from this leftover storm. And that would have been perfect for the bendy rig. And we'd have won that race.
Yeah.
And that would have made us 3-2. And then the next week was light. And I reckon we would have won in 80.
Wow.
But we didn't. We got beaten 4-1.
Yeah.
But we won a race. And that broke the thing in our head that the Americans were unbeatable.
Yeah.
So when we went back in 83, we said, stuff it. Absolutely stuff it. No more are we going to be seduced by Newport. And because most of us have been there like 3 or 4 times, we knew about all Newport's charms. We weren't going to be seduced by Newport. We knew we could beat the Americans. We knew we had an awesome weapon. We also were confident that the Americans in a way had sort of lost a bit of their gloss because Liberty was such an ugly boat. Yes, it was called Liberty. Yes, it was sailed by Dennis Connor. But it was designed by a Dutchman, Johan Valentine. It was this horrible red colour. They didn't fill the topsides because Dennis didn't want any additional weight of bomb in the topsides, as if that's going to make any difference. So the topsides are a bit corrugated as well. And then he went and sanded it down so it was this dull red. We called it the Rusty Dutch Barge. It was just an ugly boat. And so that sort of, in a way, And then we knew that we had Dennis psychologically stuffed up because we'd hidden the boat, and we isolated ourselves. So all the helicopters and